Hey, everybody, welcome back to the I Play 2 podcast. I'm your host, Rob Adler. This week, former college baseball player Braden Halladay joins the show. In 2018, he represented Canada as a member of their junior national team and pitched a 1-2-3 inning in an exhibition game versus the Toronto Blue Jays, including getting future All-Star Bo Bichette to ground out. In 2023, after transferring to High Point University in North Carolina, he appeared in 24 games with a 3-3 record, including a season-high 5 strikeouts versus Davidson. And now, Braden currently works for the Texas Rangers in player development as a data apprentice. His father, Roy Halladay, was a 2-time Cy Young Award winner, an 8-time MLB All-Star, and was elected to the Hall of Fame in 2019. Braden, welcome to the show.
I appreciate you having me, Rob. I'm excited to be on.
Thank you for being here. I hear you got recently engaged a few months back. Congratulations. How did that all come about?
She and I dated in high school for a long time. We went our own separate ways in college, and I was in junior college, wasn't quite sure where I wanted to go to school, and I'm a pretty religious person. I prayed about it, and her school ended up offering me a scholarship. I saw it as a sign, so I ended up taking that offer at High Point University, which is where she went. Ever since then, just got back together and have been having a great time. So we've been together now for almost 7 years, if you include both stints, and we're really excited about it. So I appreciate you asking me.
I saw a post on Instagram. It looked like you got engaged on the beach, and I'm jealous because I love the beach.
It was Clearwater Beach in Florida. That's where we first started dating in high school. We both went to high school around Clearwater, Tampa area. And so I thought it'd be a really great place for us to get engaged, since that was so long ago, back in, 2016 almost.
That area of Clearwater, Tampa, you extend it down to Bradenton. It's just absolutely beautiful. I love going to Longboat Key when I get the chance.
Oh, yeah. It's a beautiful area. There's a lot of spring training baseball, too. And then, baseball throughout the year, minor league teams, and even high school, college teams around here are really, really good. University of Tampa's been really good for a long time. There's a lot of really good junior colleges. It's a really great baseball area as well.
You mentioned spring training, and in 2018, you faced one of your dad's old teams while playing for Canada. What was that experience like for you?
We were talking about it the days leading up. Coach told me that I was going to get a chance to play that day. So obviously really excited, wanted to make sure my family and friends were there, that being such a big opportunity. And then a little bit nervous at first. I don't think I've ever played in front of that many people. Honestly, to this day, still might not have ever played in front of that many people. But that was an unbelievable experience. Getting to pitch where my dad pitched, I think was really, really cool. I think given the climate of the situation that me and my family and my friends were in, having lost my dad, I think it was a really cool opportunity for all of us to be around and celebrate and enjoy him, and also get to do my own thing and start my own career path in baseball. I think that all around it was obviously a really, really surreal experience, and getting to face Bo Bichette too was really, really cool. He's an unbelievable guy. He talked to me after the whole thing, and we've talked a few times since, and just a really cool opportunity overall, one that I'll definitely never forget.
How did the opportunity to play for Team Canada originally come about?
I had always wanted to play for Team Canada because I was born in Toronto when my dad was playing for the Blue Jays, and that's something that I've always held near and dear to my heart. If you know me or people around me, they know how proud I am of that, and how proud I am of all the years that I did spend living in Toronto and all the time I've spent going back. So I had a friend in high school who was on Team USA, and I thought, man, that's so cool. I want to be on Team Canada. Really simple thought process there. So I reached out to the coaches at Team Canada. I sent a couple emails, and luckily everything came along together. I wasn't sure about if I'd be able to or not, since I wasn't living there at the time. I was doing high school in Clearwater, and I'm really happy that I got to be able to represent my country in that way. I think that it was a really, really cool opportunity.
I'm Canadian as well. I was born in Ottawa, but I am a Leafs fan. Are you a Leafs fan as well?
To be honest, I don't watch much hockey. My vices are kind of baseball and football, and I spend so much time between the two that I don't really get into many other sports too much.
You mentioned that you're a football fan. Who's your football team?
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hopefully everything comes together for them, but I'm cheering for Baker Mayfield and the crew. No matter what kind of product they put out on the field, I'll be watching the games.
All time, who is your favorite Tampa Bay Buccaneers player?
Oh, it's Mike Allstott. It's not even close. Sitting up in my office right now, I've got 3 bobbleheads. I've got my dad, I've got Mike Allstott, and then I've got Corey Seager. Ever since I was a kid, I just loved Mike Allstott. I think I went to Halloween as Mike Allstott, I think 6 years in a row. I mean, just one of my all-time favorites, the way he played, the way he would just go right at people. That's the way I tried to pitch and honestly go about my life. So pretty easily Mike Allstott.
The A Train is one funny dude. I don't know if you ever had a chance to meet him, but he's got a wicked sense of humor.
Dude, he is hilarious. We played against a school called Northside Christian, which is up here more towards St. Pete. And he's got good ties to that school. And so we played against him one time. I got to pitch against the school and talk to him after. And I think I put pitching in front of A Train right up next to the Team Canada thing, honestly. Those are both pretty core memories as far as baseball goes for me.
Isn't it neat when you can meet a favorite player or an idol and they turn out as great as you'd hoped?
It's so great. One of my good friends was neighbors with him too, and he used to tell me great stories about A Train as well. So I'm happy that all the reasons that I liked him are all the reasons that he's a great guy.
Taking a bit of a step back here, and although I know your dad was an unbelievable pitcher, but how did your interest in baseball start?
Everybody wants to be like their dad when they grow up, right? That's kind of a natural thing in young kids, especially when you get to watch your dad pitch in front of a bunch of people and you get to go see the clubhouse. It's pretty easy to get enamored with the lifestyle of baseball. And so I think it was pretty easy for me to latch onto that at a young age. One thing that was interesting for me as a kid, I was always completely enamored by the front office and how the front office works. And just as much time as I wanted to spend with my dad and his teammates in the locker room, I wanted to spend up in the front office looking at player boards and things of that nature. And so I think that baseball for me was even more interesting because I had 2 different avenues as a young kid that I really wanted to explore. And I think that helped me fall in love with baseball even more because I was trying to look at it from both perspectives as a kid.
When your dad was in Toronto or Philly, was there a member of the front office that you were able to speak with that piqued your interest a little bit more?
When I was in Toronto, everybody there let me really explore around, but I was still a lot younger. So at times I didn't really understand how baseball worked. But when I was in Philadelphia, I got to spend a lot of time with Ruben Amaro Jr. He was the GM for the Phillies while I was there. And he used to teach me a lot and take a lot of time out of his day to help me out, show me kind of what the things that were going on were and how they work, even taking time to make me feel like my ideas were heard. And as a kid, that was really, really cool to me. And in a way, I almost felt involved. Obviously, Ruben wasn't using a 10-year-old kid's advice, but I felt like I had a say. And I thought that it was just really cool how he took the time to show me how things work. And so I remember spending a lot of time with Ruben specifically.
Was there a tidbit, whether it's on the professional side or maybe something of just how to handle yourself in the professional environment that he said to you that you still use to this day?
When you talk about handling yourself, one of the biggest things that not just he's told me, but I've heard from a lot of people in general is confidence is one of the biggest parts of it. A popular phrase is dress for the job that you want to be. The way you dress yourself is with your voice and with your actions. And so I think being confident and being prepared are 2 of the biggest things to have. The more you can equip yourself going into those conversations, the more you're going to help yourself out. So those are 2 things that I try to carry with me, whether I'm talking to one of the local guys around the office that we're just hanging out, or if I'm talking to the commissioner of baseball, I want to try and have the same respect and the same tone and the same confidence. I think that's probably the biggest thing that I carry with me as far as being in a front office for baseball.
How did the original opportunity with the Phillies in terms of the front office come about for you?
With the Phillies, I worked in stadium ops. So I was completely separate from baseball operations altogether. And it was a variety of different things that we would do in that role. So, I mean, I remember I stacked probably 1,000 chairs. We would oversee the ticket management, like the entry to the games, how they scan the tickets into the game, setting up charity events and other random things. There was a lot that you do in that role. And so one of my best friends that I live with down here, he was in that role one summer while I was playing summer ball in college. And when he went back for his last year of school, I had just gotten out of school and was looking for an opportunity to get into baseball. I didn't exactly get the opportunities that I wanted as far as going into player development. And so I asked him if that role was available, and he put me in contact with everybody that helped me out in Philly, who are all great people, by the way. I worked with the group who run Florida baseball operations. So they run the Threshers, they run spring training. It's a great group of people over there. And that's how I got connected there. And so I spent all of spring training there and then a little bit before helping out. And even though it wasn't directly related to baseball activity itself, and if it wasn't related to player development, I honestly think that it was an incredible stepping stone for me, because I think that if you can learn to just put your head down and do whatever step you need to take to get into baseball, I think it's incredibly valuable, especially to say the first thing that I actually ever did with a job in baseball was we set up a baby shower. And so I think it's also a really, really cool story, depending on where I get one day, to say I started in baseball setting up baby showers and stacking chairs. I think it just speaks to the adversity and the battles that you have to fight just to get in and be successful.
And it also helps you relate to whoever might be an intern or working in stadium ops or somebody working in an entry level when you're higher up 20 years down the road.
Exactly. Exactly that as well.
So, how did you end up getting your job as a data apprentice with the Rangers?
I had talked to some family friends. I had talked to a group of people around me that had known that I'd wanted to get into baseball. I finished my master's degree last December. So when I started to apply for jobs, I had received some no's. I had received some, it's a bit too late in the process and the spot's already been filled. We apologize after I applied. So I ended up taking the Phillies job, and my plan was to work there for the year in stadium ops and get to know people, get to build connections, and get to progress myself on my own side while I was doing that job. And during spring training, I got a call from one of my family friends who knows another one of my family friends who works for the Rangers. And they said that there was a spot available and they'd like me to interview. This came about halfway through spring training. And luckily, by the grace of God, through that process, I ended up getting that job. And after spring training with the Phillies, I told them about it, and they knew that my goal and my dream was to get into the player development side, and they know how hard that can be. And so after spring training, I left Philly and headed over to Texas and spent the year in Arizona. But a great network of people that helped me set up what ended up being a really great opportunity. And in baseball, connections are one of the biggest pieces of the whole puzzle. It's not just about who you know, but it's about how you know them, how well you know them, how well you're getting to know them. But at the end of the day, you still got to go in and do the job after they help you out. But I got really, really lucky.
Speaking as working for the Rangers, I had Nolan Ryan's grandson, Jackson Ryan, on the podcast a couple years ago. He works over in Round Rock.
So I actually met his dad this past weekend, which was awesome. Hopefully I get to see Jackson and his family in spring training. They're great people.
I was listening to an old interview that you did, and I heard that your favorite player was Jackson's grandfather, Nolan Ryan. What made Nolan such an attractive player to you?
What I loved about Nolan Ryan, the big fastball is obviously incredibly entertaining to watch. I think that his attitude on the mound was what really separated him from me. And that's something that I saw in my dad, I saw in Nolan Ryan, and felt really similar to me. And so just watching the way that he went about his business, the way that he would stare at hitters, the way that he wasn't scared to let hitters know that he would throw up and in and take them off the plate. That fearless way of playing baseball without the fear of making a mistake or the fear of making the wrong pitch, and having full belief in what you've got. I think that's what made me really, really interested in Nolan Ryan. That, and I think he was one of my dad's favorite players as well. And my younger brother's named Ryan, which is hilarious. And I've got a Nolan Ryan Christmas ornament on my tree.
That is fantastic. I did not know they made Nolan Ryan Christmas ornaments.
That was my dad's. And so my fiance and I just moved into our new place and I stole it.
Speaking of Christmas, what was a favorite tradition that the Halladay family had when you were growing up?
I don't know. We were pretty cut and dry, honestly. We really didn't do that much. I think one thing that would be a little bit unique that we did, we used to do tacos on Christmas Eve every year. My mother's side, we have a Mexican heritage, and one of the recipes that got passed down from her family was this deep fried taco recipe, and it is just unbelievable. We used to have competitions to see who could eat the most, and so every year on Christmas Eve, everyone would come over, we'd watch a movie, have like a pajama exchange, everyone would get into Christmas pajamas, and everyone would see how many deep fried tacos they could eat. I think that's probably the most unique tradition that we had, but also probably my favorite. Those tacos are unbelievable.
How do I get in on getting this taco recipe? Those sound fantastic.
I don't even have it yet. She doesn't trust me with it yet, but once I get it, I'll send it over to you.
Speaking of your mom, because your dad often, especially when you were younger, was away so much, how important was she in your early years growing up?
She was unbelievable. With my dad being gone, it's a very non-traditional way of raising kids. And so my mom took on a lot of the job that most traditional moms wouldn't have to take on. Without her, obviously, I'd be nowhere near where I am. I don't think I would have ever come close. I think that she did a really, really good job of making my dad's job seem super normal and seem like a really normal lifestyle. There wasn't really a point until me and my brother got older that we were like, maybe that wasn't the most normal childhood to have. But in the moment, she did a really, really good job of making everything normal. I think she's done an incredible job as a mother, not just her, too, my entire family. Because sometimes mom would be gone too, and I'd stay with my uncles or my grandmother. I think that everybody did a really, really good job of taking care of me and my brother. And it's a tough thing to do in baseball, to have a really tight-knit family that works together. And I'm really appreciative of them for everything they did for me.
I had Freddie Freeman's cousin, Cassidy Boyer, on, and she does a lot of stuff with Freddie's family and talked about how important family is. So, is there any specific memory you have with your dad gone that you look back on and smile?
I can think of 1,000 different little memories, whether it be baseball games or football games. And I remember when my dad threw his perfect game, I was with my uncle and my cousin, who was really young at the time. And I was 10 years old, I believe. And I didn't really understand what a perfect game was at the time. So I was sitting with my uncle, funny enough, at a taco night and watching that perfect game with him and my grandma. And I thought that was a pretty cool moment. I thought it was cool to be able to spend a moment like that with them, because a lot of I either spent with my mom or my dad. And so I thought it was cool to spend a moment like that with them too. We were supposed to be at the game, but my cousin got an ear infection, so we stayed home.
That's a bad time to get an ear infection for your cousin.
I know, it's terrible.
With family, and it sounds like your family is pretty close, how was everybody able to handle the tragedy when your father passed away?
It's tough. It's a hard situation to describe, really. There's a lot of emotion, obviously, most of it being negative. When that happens, I think that the biggest part of it is just trying to focus on the good, to be really sad and to think, why, trying to justify. I think that's the most natural reaction. But the thing we did was just focus on the good, tell a lot of stories about my dad and things we loved about my dad. It's a really, really difficult thing to go through. And with the context of everything that my dad was going through and just the way that everything kind of unfolded, it's a bit easier to make everything make sense when you're on the inside of it. Granted, those are pretty personal family details and things that I'll probably hold close to me. But having that tight-knit family definitely makes it a lot easier. You have a lot of people who want to help, a lot of people who want to be there. But honestly, it's a really difficult thing to be super positive about all the time. So a lot of it's just making sure you're there for each other and helping get through it, reminding each other that he's in a better place and he's doing what he loved, and talk about all the good things that happen.
How were you able to use baseball to help get you through and navigate such a difficult situation?
That's probably what was my number one way of coping. I think that being around my dad, baseball was our love language in a way. We used to talk baseball, talk about pitching, talk about players, talk about whatever it might be. And so being able to go out and pitch after made me feel closer to him. There were a lot of teaching moments that he gave to me before he passed away. And when I pitched, I could feel like I was hearing him say those things to me. And so it felt like I was hearing his voice again. It kind of felt like I was in his presence again when I was pitching and I was on the mound. And I'm personally pretty religious. And so I felt like that's where he was watching over me the most, was when I was pitching. And being able to have that connection with him beforehand and then being able to still have that afterwards and use that to maintain that relationship with my dad, I think that was really, really important for me at the time. And I think it gave me lessons off the field too, just learning that it meant more than baseball as well. I think those are the most important things.
Your dad coached you at one point when you were a youth player, right?
He coached us at our high school. He coached me when I was in travel ball, but he never wanted to coach at our high school. But it kind of got to a point where he was hanging around practices and everybody was kind of like, hey, can he please help? And so finally just told him, Dad, do it. Like, everybody wants help. I don't want to stop people from getting help just because I want my own career. Like, just get on the field and help.
How were you able to separate the coach player relationship from the father son relationship?
He and I actually did that really, really well. One, he was harder on me than he should have been, which is a common theme in coach player father son relationship. He was harder on me than a lot of the other guys just because he knew what I could do and what I could handle. So that makes it pretty easy to separate father son because it's a lot different relationship on the field than off of it sometimes. But it was the exact way I wanted to be coached. He knew what I needed to be better and to get better. And so it was really great having him out there. I think that also sometimes, to a point, we kind of had the same relationship on and off the field because I would ask him things and he would answer differently depending on if he was at the field or we were at home, given he was either a dad or a coach at the time. But that's kind of just the way he and I were. I liked when he was a bit harder on me because I felt like it snapped me into better shape and got the message across better, and I had thicker skin. And so it's pretty fun to be around him, though. You get to learn a lot from him really, really quickly.
Speaking of learning a lot, what's a lesson, and it doesn't necessarily have to be from on the field, that you learned and take with you in your everyday life?
My dad used to talk about competing one pitch at a time. So obviously you have a plan for the game, a plan for the inning, a plan for the at bat. But once you throw the pitch before you can't get it back, you already threw it. You can't throw the next pitch before you throw the pitch that you're currently throwing. So you could really tell when he pitched how he was thinking about every specific pitch individually. If you're thinking about the last pitch and that was strike one and the pitch you want to throw for strike three, but then you hang strike two and it goes out of the ballpark, strike three doesn't matter at that point. So you got to focus on strike two. And I think that really helped me off the field too, just thinking about, okay, this is where my feet are right now. If I don't take care of where I am right now, there's not going to be the same issue to worry about that I want to conquer if I don't take care of what's going on right now. And so I think that's the biggest part for me, especially in my career where you start lower in baseball. You have this goal that you want to work toward, what you want to become one day. But if you don't take care of what you're doing right now, then you're not going to have an opportunity to take care of that goal. So I think that's the biggest thing, because that's sort of an all-encompassing lesson. It teaches you patience, teaches you discipline, teaches you diligence in your daily activity, diligence in your routine. So I think that there's a lot that comes out of that simple take care of this pitch idea.
That's a good point you bring up about routine, because many athletes are a creature of habit. So when something happens that might disrupt your routine as a player, how do you handle that to make sure it doesn't become a bigger issue?
I think that probably having the routine is the biggest part of that, because if it's going to get thrown off a little bit, then knowing what it is that you consistently do, you'll have a really good understanding of how to reverse engineer it too and kind of get back to it. You've got, I'll call them like pillars of things that are important to you. So really leaning on those other things to help get you pointed back in the right direction. That's the biggest part of it. And that's why it's so important to build one, is so that you have other building blocks that when one of the pillars falls, the whole thing doesn't just collapse and fall down. Maybe it's a little less sturdy, but you've still got a good base set there while you build the other pillar back up.
For you, what are your pillars?
To be completely transparent, as a player, I don't think I had set them that great up until really the end of my career. I think I just didn't fully understand. I went through a lot of turbulence after my dad passed away. I struggled with it a lot mentally. And so I kind of had to find myself as a person. And once I did that, that helped my baseball career out tremendously. Now as a professional, I think my pillars would align in putting out consistent work, putting out detail-oriented work, putting out work that is on time, and then confidence. Those are probably my 4 pillars. So I would say confidence and conversation, punctuality, diligence, and consistency, I would say, are 4 of my most important things that I try to bring every day.
You mentioned a little bit of going through the emotional turbulence after your dad had passed. What advice do you have for other younger people who go through losing a close family member or a close friend?
Number 1, being religious. I think that if you have a relationship with God, not abandoning it in that moment and leaning on it, instead running towards it, I think is one of the bigger mistakes that I made when everything happened. What I did was sort of coast through that moment, and instead of attacking the problem directly, I tried to act like everything was normal, act like I was normal, act like everything was okay, when it really wasn't, obviously. And so being able to understand your emotions, having people that you can talk to is the most important thing, just so that you can get off your chest what you need to. You don't hold anything in. My mistake was I bottled everything up. I tried to come off like I was completely fine, be a normal kid again right after it happened. And there was still a lot that I was holding on to. And as a result of that, I kind of coasted through a lot of time, just because it would have taken a lot more effort to really deal with what I was feeling. But I didn't want to have to reinvent myself and go through a whole thing and talk to a bunch of people. I really just wanted to be okay. And it wasn't until I really put the time into myself to take care of everything that was going on that I started to get myself back. And then after that, I slowly started to see those other qualities that I used to see in myself trickle back in. A lot of the pillars that I said, become consistent, diligent, all those things started to come back in. But for a while, it was just difficult for me because of all those things. And those emotions wear on you. So I'd be tired, even though I didn't realize it, I was sad. And so I'd fill my day doing things that weren't productive for me. And so I lost a lot of time that I've been lucky enough to, one, realize and get back and rebuild and repair relationships, while also being able to get myself started and get myself going. So I think those are the most important things to have. And even though it's scary to face to face, there's a lot of people there who want to help you. So being able to lean on that is the biggest part of it.
Were you also going through the recruiting process at that point? I imagine that would also be another high stress situation.
I was to a point, My recruiting wasn't too insanely crazy. And one thing that I really, really was looking for was a family and someone to almost help take care of me in that way. I was really worried about leaving my family because of everything that happened. And ended up going to Penn State. On the field, wasn't the best fit for me. Like I mentioned before, I kind of didn't have all my ducks in a row. And so I'm sure as a player, I wasn't the most desirable skill set at the time. I wasn't the hardest worker or the most talented player. But I met a bunch of my greatest friends at Penn State. The coaching staff was great to me at Penn State. They always helped me out when I needed it. Penn State was an absolutely unbelievable place for me to be, and a big reason why I am who I am now, because I was able to find a lot there. I wish, looking back on it, I was able to give a little bit more at Penn State and I was able to help more. And I'm really thankful for the time I spent there because I felt like it was monumental in what helped me become who I am now.
As a freshman, didn't COVID hit that shortens your season?
It did. It was a tough thing, but in a funny way, it helped me out a lot. One thing was that when COVID hit, I got to go back home and spend a lot of time in my own head and understanding myself and why I thought the way I did. And it finally felt like the world had stopped going for just a minute to allow me to think. Even though I didn't fully figure myself out over COVID, I wouldn't even potentially say I fully figured myself out now. There's still a lot of room to grow and space to go, but that was really the first time that I got to think about those things and get the ball rolling as far as pulling myself together a little bit. So in a way, COVID really wasn't the worst thing for me. It actually helped me out a lot.
In a strange way, I think COVID helped many people out in the fact that they could be around family, not have to worry about all these other things other than basic day-to-day life, and sort of slowed the world down a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, I think it just gave me time to think about things I hadn't had the time or wanted to think about. It kind of forced me to sit there and really tangle with those ideas. And that's been at least the starting piece of kind of helping me really recover from going through all of that at a younger age and understanding where I am now.
How did you originally end up at High Point, and in terms of deciding that that was the right place for you as a baseball player?
When I first got offered from High Point, I honestly hadn't really heard about it, except for the fact that my fiance, who at the time was my ex-girlfriend, went there, and I honestly wasn't looking for High Point at all. There was a number of schools that I really wanted to go to, and my main goal that I had set when I went to my junior college was actually to stay in Florida. So I was looking at a bunch of schools in Florida, and I decided to visit High Point because they gave me a good scholarship offer. And I said, you know what? I'll go. I'll just see what it looks like. And when I went, I don't know if you've ever seen photos of it, but the campus is legitimately unbelievable. To a point, doesn't even feel like college. It looks like a country club. I honestly don't even know how to fully describe it just with words. But I think that was the first thing that caught my eye when I got there. And when I started talking to the coaches, Joey Hammond is the head coach there. I would run through a brick wall for him. I absolutely love him. I felt completely convinced that he was going to help me get exactly where I wanted to be and help turn me into the man that I wanted to be. And the pitching coach that was there when I was being recruited, his name was Miles Miller. And I felt a real deep personal connection to Miles. I felt like we had the same sort of personality and could see the same goals for myself. And that was something that I hadn't really seen in a lot of other coaches that I had talked to or met. I could see that they liked me and they had a vision for me, but Miles, I could see myself building a personal relationship with. So that was the biggest part for me there, was that I had somebody that not only could I learn pitching from and have an opportunity to play, but there was also somebody that I could talk about whatever it may be that I need to get done. And facilities wise too, for a mid-major school, High Point's facilities are pretty top tier. And it's a really fun atmosphere to play in. So I thought it was a great opportunity, honestly, and I really didn't see much downside to it. And I think it was probably the best decision I've ever made.
I've actually been to High Point and been to the university there, but it's been close to 20 years. that campus, as you said, is incredible. I mean, it almost looks like something out of like an antebellum novel.
Rob, it's insane. So I went to a junior college and I lived in sort of like the junior college housing. And then I went there and they've got a neighborhood built in to the gates of the school. And just walking around those first couple days, they've got stands set up on campus where if you're walking to class, you can just grab a free blueberry muffin or a banana or a coffee or whatever it is. And it's just completely free just while you're walking to class. Just stuff like that. It's like, can't believe this is a college. It feels like a Hallmark Christmas movie. It's completely ridiculous.
I'm just curious because I know it's right nearby. Did you ever go see the world's largest chest of drawers?
I did actually. When I first got to High Point and I didn't know anybody that well, I would just go on drive and see where I ended up. And I drove by it. And this was before I learned that High Point was the furniture capital of the world. And I just saw the world's largest drawers when I was driving down the street. And I said, all right, that's enough. I need to go back.
I could not believe when I saw just how big that was. And it's strange because High Point is in such an odd spot because it's not really that close to anything.
It's sort of on its own. There's not that much that we used to go do off campus. There were a few bowling alleys, things like that. But even at High Point, they have whatever you want to go do on campus for the most part. I think the only times we really went off campus were to go golfing.
On the field at High Point, what was a career highlight that you will always look back on and be proud of?
The most important thing is we built a culture there. A couple of the guys, we were going into our last year and we wanted to make sure we left an impact. So we built a real important culture there of wanting to win. And that's at every point of it, off the field, on the field, in the weight room. I think building that culture and that resulting in being able to go and play in a regional and to beat Vanderbilt in that regional, play more than just 2 games in a regional as a 4-seed mid-major. I think that's the proudest thing that I'll leave High Point with is being a part of that team and being an important piece of helping build that culture. And High Point last year had another really, really great year. And I think this year we'll have another really good year and hopefully get back to a regional. Just being part of the group that sparked High Point, starting to become a baseball school and a threat to win 35, even 40 games a year and get into a regional every year, I think is the most important thing for me. I think that personally, having the year where I think it was 40 innings, I threw in like 26 games or something. My goal in transferring was to go somewhere where I was valued on the field and I was going to get to play. And even though we didn't win that year, it was really fun for me just getting to feel like a really important piece of a team, getting to feel like I really was making a difference and helping and coming into games late and making a big impact was super fun for me. But I take way more pride in being part of the group that helped set the tone and the precedent at High Point there.
So, with having such a positive experience at High Point, what was behind the decision not to continue your on the field baseball career?
There were a couple different factors in it. I think that one was looking myself in the mirror and being really honest with myself about what kind of a player I was and what I wanted with myself and how hard I was going to have to work to get that goal. And so I think that I was a pretty good player. I still think that I really enjoyed playing. I went and played in a men's league right after I finished. So I don't think it was a lack of want to play or lack of desire to play. So long-term goal, way in the future, my dream has always been to be a general manager of a team. I tried to put my general manager hat on and say, if I was a general manager, would I sign myself? And the answer was probably not right now, likely no. And so I knew that I was going to have to go and play indie ball and put on some weight, throw a little bit harder, and do this a little bit better, do that a little bit better. For a minute, I really, really considered it. And had I not been lucky enough to get with the Rangers, there's even a chance that I might have gone and done it. But I just think that as badly as I wanted to play, I wanted to be in the front office and I wanted to be in professional baseball. And I think that I valued myself as way more talented off the field than on the field. I think that my baseball brain was way better than my baseball arm. And I just see a lot more opportunity for myself off the field, personally, professionally, just as a lifestyle and as a career. I think that it was the best move and getting started early and getting into what I want to do because I still enjoy baseball. I still play in this men's league. I think that it's still a great way for me to release steam and still be close to my dad and have fun, like we mentioned earlier. But this is where my interest lies. This is where I think I see the best future for myself. And so far, I'm really, really happy with it.
Now you're a data apprentice with the Rangers. Without going into finite detail, because I know you can't, but what's the role of a data apprentice?
A lot of teams have similar roles. A lot of teams call them video and tech interns or video and tech apprentice. Last year, I was an intern. I was part-time still, as opposed to next year when I'll be with Hickory. But the overall goal of the role is the collection, management, and upload of data and video. And so that entails batting practice, bullpens, games, and a number of other random various activity using things like TrackMan, bats, other data collection sources to take what's going on in the practice, the game, whatever it might be, and connecting that data to the video and uploading it to our internal system so that people can watch it, people can view it, people can manipulate the data in whatever way they want. The other part of it is now using that data to help explain points, to help make your own personal research projects, a number of different things. You kind of wear a number of different hats being a data apprentice. But I think that it's a really great first job in baseball and even second job because you really get to help out a lot of different people. So you get to see a lot of what's going on and really make an idea of what your game plan is going to be going forward in baseball and give yourself a real nice base and understanding of the ins and outs, especially the data. So being a data apprentice has helped me learn a lot about pitching data, hitting data, you name it. So you squeeze the juice correctly, then it's definitely worth it.
One thing that I know a lot of front offices don't have right now is somebody who, let's say, like yourself, is a former player, but understands the mathematical analytics of the situation. You're in a unique spot where you can actually take the scientific part and explain it to a player or coach in what I call layman's terms.
You nailed that on the head. That's probably one of my most marketable skills, but I think it's something that is important. There's a lot of former players who come back and work in professional baseball who sometimes don't have the understanding of the data, like you said. And there's a lot of people who have an understanding of the data who didn't get to play. I think that being able to have both is extremely valuable and I think provides a sort of credibility as well. But at the same point, you almost have to work twice as hard in both areas now too, because yes, I have an understanding of both, but person A might have an extreme understanding of the numbers and person B might have an extreme understanding of the field. It's like, why would we hire Braden if he potentially only has a mediocre understanding of both when we could just hire two guys who have a great understanding of both? And so I think it's a really marketable skill, but also just having it isn't enough to say, oh, I have this experience and this skill and this history, so I should be a slam dunk candidate for it. You still have to work really hard in both areas to make sure that not only do you have that experience, but you're just as efficient as somebody who has that experience on either side.
And I would say you have to work 3 times as hard because of your last name, because when people make the connection, they're going to assume that you might be as good as your dad, which I think is a little bit unfair because not that many people make the Hall of Fame.
I think that it's definitely something that is helpful at times. It can help open doors. It's definitely an interesting talking point. So it's not all bad all the time, but like you said, a lot of times there's an impression made before I even meet somebody, or there's a certain expectation of what I should be because of who my dad is. And so there's definitely a drawback to it as well, but there's also good. I think trying to use the good, not exploit it or lean on it, but to use it to my power to make my connections and get my name out there in a way and have my name stand out, I think is the important part, but also having the consciousness of what people might think of you and working twice as hard because of that, just to make sure that that never becomes the perception of you.
When you look back on your baseball playing career, what would you say baseball has given you?
The biggest thing was baseball gave me an avenue to be me. I think that when everything else in my life was changing and a bit turbulent, baseball was the same. Baseball maintained. And so that gave me a bit of consistency, a way to see how I was changing, because my different way of approaching the game was going to humble me the same. The game was going to teach me the same, regardless of what my attitude was towards it. Being romantic about baseball, there's a lot that the game can teach you if you'll just listen to it. Even the small mistakes at some point can relate back to something in life. And so I think that it's really just like a beautiful, poetic game that's helped me in every aspect of my life, even my relationship with my fiance, my relationship with my brother and my mother and my family and with God. Just learning how to listen to baseball and to use it to help me in life, I think has been the biggest thing. So just learning how to slow down, how to appreciate what's going on, and how to see what's happening and apply it to myself. That's probably the biggest thing that I've gotten from baseball. And it's just unbelievably fun as well. It's baseball. Who doesn't love hanging out at the field and talking shop, doing whatever? I think most of the best people of my life that I've met are through baseball.
Braden, I want to thank you so much for joining the I Play 2 podcast today, talking about your time playing with Team Canada, how close you are with your family, the positive experience you had at High Point, continued success with the Texas Rangers organization, and wherever your future baseball executive career leads you. Thank you again, man.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate you having me on. This was a blast.